Live from Eyewitness News, this is breaking news.
Good afternoon, I'm Kate Walsh. Governor Raimondo is giving us her daily update on the coronavirus. She's just stepped up to the podium at the Rhode Island Emergency Management Agency in Cranston. Let's listen in.
The Emergency Operations Center. I want to begin with a thank you to all of the folks who are here. The Emergency Operations Center is fully activated now and is operating 24/7 and will be operating 24/7 and fully staffed until the end of the crisis. It's important that Rhode Islanders know it is no longer just a response by the Department of Health, but this is a full government response. My entire cabinet is engaged in this, and we are using every tool in our toolbox to properly address the crisis. I would like to make a special thank you to Director Mark Pappas, who will be speaking in a few minutes. His team is here. They've been working, they're planning, and doing everything that we know how to do to keep people safe. I do want to take a second to particularly thank Anna Novice, who is at the Department of Health and is the director of the Department of Health's planners. These are the people who you don't see. They are literally working around the clock in the basement of the Department of Health, and they are truly the unsung heroes of this crisis. Anna and her team have been grinding it out for weeks as we've been preparing, and now that we're in the throes of this crisis, in very difficult working conditions and doing a marvelous job. So on behalf of a very grateful Rhode Island, I want to thank all the folks in the planning division of the Department of Health for the thankless but vital work that you are doing. I would say that, yesterday we are now up to testing over 100 people a day. That is only possible because of the amazing work of our Department of Health leaders and employees. So I cannot emphasize enough how lucky we are to have them, and just how hard that they are working, and how proud of you all I am. I also want to thank General Callahan and the Rhode Island National Guard. General Callahan, who's here with me, like all of his troops, generally tries to avoid the spotlight. But I want to say thank you to all of you. Your leadership has been indispensable, and your steady hand as we deal with this crisis is allowing us to stay ahead of the virus. I'd also like to note that the Rhode Island National Guard unit was the very first in the nation to start helping any state with the drive-through testing and diagnostic. They were established well over a week ago and have been helping us to keep up with the demand for testing. So thank you, General Callahan, for your leadership and for your team's leadership. I have a bit of good news to report this morning, that there were no new cases of coronavirus overnight last night. So at this point in time, we remain at 20 positive cases, which is the same number that we reported to you yesterday in yesterday's press conference. We have over 2,000 people in Rhode Island in self-quarantine. As far as we know, as of now, there's about 2,300 people in self-quarantine, 20 cases, no additional cases overnight. So that is a welcome pause. And I have Dr. McDonald here from the Health Department, who's a leader in the Health Department. He's been on the front lines of this, and he'll be happy to answer any questions about those 20 cases. I want to say this is a very welcome pause, because we need to take a breath as we continue to marshal our resources to deal with this crisis. There are going to be more cases. This is just a pause. I fully expect that tomorrow at our press briefing, there will be more cases. What it tells us, though, is that what we are doing is working. Rhode Island took a very aggressive, robust response to shut things down. And it's not lost on me the cost to our economy, the disruption to business, the disruption to family life. I'm hearing it every day, and I understand it. The only way that we're going to get through this, and we will get through it, is if we continue with these very radical measures around social distancing, staying home, and absolutely staying home if you're sick. I will say, Rhode Islanders are doing a great job. You are doing a great job. The fact that we didn't have new cases overnight is just one sign that what we're putting in place is the right direction and it's working, and you're listening. You know, you're listening, and we're grateful for it. It's going to save lives. It's plain and simple. If you follow these directions, we will save the lives of Rhode Islanders. To that end, I just want to reiterate a few things to remind everybody of what we all need to be doing. Because right now, today, tomorrow, this week is the absolute critical time. These are critical times. We've learned from experiences all around the world that the quicker you shut things down, the more likely you are to be able to smooth the curve and make sure that we don't have a spike in cases which overwhelms our healthcare system. To that end, stay home. If you remember nothing else about this press conference, stay home. I know that isn't easy, but it's the safe thing to do. Particularly so if you have an underlying health condition, if you're 60 years old or older, we need you to stay home for the next couple of weeks. If you have to be out, wash your hands constantly. Proper cough etiquette. Stay 6 feet away from one another. Avoid crowds at all costs. Avoid crowds. I want to take a second to address a few particular specific populations. On Friday, I announced that there will be no school in public schools this week. K through 12 schools are out this week. We are moving up the April break that was scheduled for April to next week. I want to reiterate to teachers that you have the week off, but we are asking you to be available to your colleagues and superintendents and principals by phone and by email so that you can get plans in place for distance learning for the weeks to come, should that be necessary. I know that's a lot to ask. I know it's your vacation. This is a time that we're all making sacrifices, and I'm asking everybody to pitch in. And in the case of teachers and principals and educators, pitch in by being available so we can be online next week if we need to be with distance learning. I'd like to make a special mention to all the kids and adolescents who are off next week. My daughter asked me last night, "Mom, can we go to the mall on vacation?" The answer is absolutely not. No. You can't go to the mall. You shouldn't go to restaurants. Don't be congregating with your friends. If you find yourself out next week with a big group of friends, you're doing the wrong thing. We need you to stay home. The point of this isn't to have a vacation like a normal vacation. The point of this is to give you time off from school so you can stay home, keep yourself safe, and keep Rhode Islanders safe. The quicker we do this, the better we'll all be. I'd like to make a comment about meals. We are still working through the details of how to make food and meals available, particularly to vulnerable populations, seniors, and students. Many students go to school and receive breakfast and lunch. I had a phone call yesterday with all of Rhode Island's mayors and town managers. Each one of them is working through their own plans as it relates to how to provide meals for school kids and the elderly. Many have shut down senior centers. Those who haven't shut them down, we're asking them to shut down their senior centers. Please keep yourselves informed for what's going on in your town. Every town is handling it a little bit differently, but every town is going to make some provision for meal delivery for children and for the elderly. Either meal delivery or a place you could go to pick up a meal. So that's being done on a town-by-town basis. At this point, I have a daily phone call with mayors and town managers, and they're all getting up online what they're doing. So stay tuned to the local news in that respect. A few other notes. Very, very important note as we begin the work week tomorrow. Child care centers. Last few days ago, I asked child care centers to stay open. We did that at that time because we know that some folks, particularly doctors, nurses, emergency responders, will need to go to work. Having said that, the nature of this crisis has changed. It's evolving. Our response needs to evolve, and I'm calling on child care centers to close for the week. That's a change, so I want to repeat it again. We are directing, and our Department of Human Services is in touch with the child care providers. We are directing all child care centers, daycare centers, YMCA, Boys and Girls Club, child care centers to please shut down starting tomorrow. At this time, our direction for everybody is to avoid large groups, and so that is why we've decided to shut down the child care centers. We're working overtime to try to make provision for the children of first responders and healthcare workers. I don't have an announcement today, but in the coming days we'll have another announcement about that. Faith gatherings, a special mention, this being Sunday. First, I'd like to thank the Diocese of Providence, the Episcopal Diocese, all the faith leaders that I've been in touch with. You've all been fantastic. You've been collaborative. You've been following our direction, and I want to say thank you. I know that many church services and masses have been canceled for today and for next week, and I want to thank you for that. The dangers, the public health dangers associated particularly with communion and the receiving of communion are extreme. And so that's why we're calling for extreme measures, which is the canceling of Mass and services this week and next week, and throughout this week. A mention about food stores. Many of you are telling me that when you go to the grocery store, the shelves are empty. Please don't hoard. Just please don't do it. There's no need to do it. We've been in touch with all the grocery chains. Food will continue to come in. So go to the store and buy what you need, and have confidence that if you go back in a week or in a few days, you can go get further what you need. I will say, also, limit your trips to the grocery store. So the next I cannot emphasize this enough, the next 2 weeks are the critical time for us to pull together as Rhode Islanders and stay in the house or go for a walk. It's a beautiful sunny day. Go for a walk. But stay away from other people and avoid large crowds. Finally, I want to make special mention for seniors. And by seniors, we mean anyone who's 60 and older. 60 and older. And anyone with an underlying health condition of any kind. That's the population that's especially at risk of coronavirus. Especially at risk, and the consequences are especially severe. So if you know of a loved one or a friend or a neighbor or someone you know who's 60 and above, give them a call and check in on them. Now's the time to check in on folks who are 60 and older to make sure that they have meals, they're doing okay, they have their medicine. And we're going to be making an extra effort to do that ourselves. So those are the announcements for today. I'm going to turn it over to Mark Pappas, who's running the EOC here, and then I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much, Governor. First, I'd also like to thank the Governor for her tremendous support of EMA throughout this entire event. I'd like to point out the amazing work being done by Dr. Nicole Alexander-Scott and her team down at the Department of Health for what they've done during this entire event. I'd also like to thank, as the Governor did, General Chris Callahan and his team for the enormous support we've received, and really, across the board, all agency directors for their support of what we're doing here at the Emergency Operations Center. It truly is a full-on team effort across the board led by the Governor. As the Governor pointed out, we fully activated our Emergency Operations Center at the State EOC here in Cranston, 9 o'clock yesterday afternoon. and we are in support of what is happening down at the Rhode Island Department of Health. Just a few of the things that we're doing here, which is a lot, but just a few of the top ones. We assisted in establishing the Joint Information Center in support of the Department of Health, which is located at their office down in Providence. We continue to assist in the establishment of COVID-19 public sampling sites. We're synchronizing across the board with the Executive Office of Health and Human Services for coordinated response for all of the human services items that the governor just mentioned. Lastly, we are also poised to handle any other events that happen real world, such as what happened in Pawtucket yesterday in the mill fire. We continue to support all those events as we can, and I am going to close there and take any questions you have. But before I do that, you're probably going to ask me all the things we're doing here. Really listen to what the governor just said about personal and social protective measures. Really the most important thing. So I'm happy to hand it off to any questions you might have.
Governor, a question in regards to a lot of people who are out of work right now that are very concerned about their immediate cash flow, as in today. What steps have we seen taken in the last few days?
Yes, so I'm extremely conscious of this, and you're exactly right. A few things. I would urge them to immediately apply for temporary disability insurance. We were the first state in the country to make that available. It's get in touch with the Department of Labor and Training. There's a special hotline for Department of Labor and Training related to coronavirus. We are seeing people claim the benefit. It is a 14-day benefit, so that is, and it's immediate. So there's typically a 7-day waiting period for that. We've waived the waiting period, so that is immediate relief, a portion of wages, and it's quick and it's available. I've been in daily contact with our federal delegation and the vice president. We expect any day now that Congress is going to be passing the additional measures as it relates to unemployment insurance benefits for people affected by this, including those who are in quarantine. I do want to make that mention. If you're in quarantine but not sick, these benefits are all available for you. I expect Congress to be passing that any day now and getting that money to the states. That's paid sick leave, that's family leave, that's additional unemployment insurance benefits. So this is top of my list. I'm also imploring the administration and the USDA to allow us to advance money to folks who are on food stamps. That's at the I'm working on that today. We need the USDA to allow us to advance to people money on their EBT card immediately, so as you say, they can have money to buy food for them and their kids. So that's what we have for now. Any questions, call Department of Labor and Training. We're putting more folks on the phone to the Department of Labor and Training, but that's what we have for today.
Governor, can you talk about, you mentioned malls, and you said your daughter was saying, well, it's time for us to take a trip to the mall, or, and you were able to, kibosh that. And so there are a lot of parents that still allow their kids to go to the mall. So have you been in touch with, the Providence Place Mall, the Rhode Island Mall, to say, hey, we might need you guys to make some adjustments to not allow such large crowds? Yeah,
we are working on that. I wouldn't be surprised if I have an announcement about that very soon. I will say, though, you cannot let your kids do that. Do everything in your power to keep your kids at home, outside. But again, if you find yourself, and to all of us, not just kids, to all of us, we're all going to get restless and cabin fever after a few days. So if you find yourself in a setting where you're surrounded by a bunch of people in close proximity, you're doing something wrong.
And just to follow up to that, Mayor Fung had a pretty stern message for the families here in Cranston last night. I don't know if you got a chance to see that, but if you did, your reaction?
I didn't, but I'm sure I support it.
Pretty much gave the same message that you did, that people aren't taking the message as seriously right now with staying home. So just along those lines.
Now look, we have 2,300 people in quarantine, self-quarantine. Most of them are in Cranston because of the Cranston West situation. So the mayor's absolutely right. The mayor's 100% right. I can't say it more sternly enough. Look, it's not just about you, it's about keeping the rest of Rhode Island safe and alive. Many times when we address a crisis, the work falls to us. And by the way, it is here too. We're working like crazy, and I want to, again, thank everybody. This is a fight that's being fought on the front lines by every single Rhode Islander. Our fate is very much in our own hands in this regard. And if we do what we're supposed to do and take it seriously, we'll all be better off. And if we don't, people will get hurt.
Governor, can you update us on the status of the drive-through testing?
So we continue to do it. As I said yesterday, we tested over 100 people. By the way, if you compare that to other states that are much larger, we are testing at a per capita rate much, much more and faster than pretty much any other state I know of. So like I said, the National Guard over a week ago set up the drive-through testing. So we have that. We're continuing that. We're hoping this week that we'll be able to get private labs online. We're not yet there yet. And our Department of Health, because of their fantastic work, just at the DOH is doing over 100 a day.
So drive-through testing has been going on in the state for a week. I asked about drive-through testing yesterday, and it made it seem like that wasn't available yet, but...
No, we've been doing that for a long time, but I want to be crystal clear about this, or a long time, a week. I want to be crystal clear about this. This is not a drive-through where I'm going to tell you where it is and you direct people to go there. That is not what we're doing. That is not what we want to do. The direction is still the same. If you feel sick, if you have symptoms, you should pick up the phone and you should call your primary care provider. If you don't have a primary care provider, you should call the Department of Health's COVID hotline. By the way, I know last week people were saying it was hard to get through. We have more than tripled our capacity for the Department of Health hotline, so it should be even easier to get through. We need people to stay home, right? So we pick up the phone. If you feel sick, pick up the phone, call your doctor, call the Department of Health. They will triage you. If they think you need to be tested, they'll tell you where to go to be tested, and they may direct you to one of these drive-through centers.
Can you clarify what you said about the Providence Place Mall, your expecting announcements? Do you expect malls to be shut down?
I don't know. I don't know. Look, what I'm trying to do now is this is going to be a long crisis. We're going to be doing this a week from now and 2 weeks from now. So at every point, I want to be fully transparent and tell you everything that I know so people can have confidence that what we're saying is absolutely accurate. By the way, I want to reiterate a thank you to you guys here in the press and to remind Rhode Islanders not to believe everything you read on social media because there's a lot of misinformation. Today, as of right now, the malls are not closed. We're in conversation with malls. Look, what are we talking about? We're talking about malls, restaurants, food delivery. I don't have an announcement. I'm simply asking everyone out there to avoid the mall. And if you happen to, if you, for whatever reason, don't do that and you show up and you see a crowd there, you need to go home.
When you had your press conference yesterday, were you generally, your press conference started at the same time as the president's did, so were you generally aware of what he was going to say yesterday when your remarks?
Sometimes. I mean, it's fast moving. You know, I'm trying to stay in touch very regularly with the vice president, with Senators Reid in White House, Congressman Langevin and Cicilline. So I would say yes, generally, though we're also watching the news ourselves because sometimes we learn things.
What about private and religious schools? What's kind of your recommendation?
Close. All schools should be closed. This week, all private schools, religious schools should all shut down this week.
Governor, what is our recommendation for restaurants, sit-down restaurants and bars?
Right now, what we're asking folks to do is to stay home. So people should be avoiding that, particularly those people who are 60 and above and not well.
Are you suggesting that restaurants and bars close, though?
You know, we are going to continue to talk about that today. What I'm suggesting now is that people stay home, they avoid crowded places. If you're 60 and above, you especially don't want to be around other people.
Mayor Lorza was the first to announce a state of emergency
Yes.
in the state. So does that differ from anything that you guys are trying to do, or did you expect that?
No, we encouraged him to do that, and again, I'm encouraging every mayor and town manager to do the same. We had a call with them yesterday. We'll have another call with them today. My guidance to mayors and town managers is declare the state of emergency because it gives you flexibility to deal with what might come up. So I hope and expect that every other mayor and town manager will be following suit. Kim.
Let's clarify that the unemployment benefits or temporary disability insurance, is that going to be made available to parents who, now that these child care centers are being asked to close, have to stay home to take care of their kids, or what do they do?
No, it is not available for that, and that's something that we need to have a better answer to, which is, and I believe the federal government needs to step up for that. I am of the view, and I'm making this very well known to anyone in Washington who will listen, the federal government needs to hurry up and pass Speaker Pelosi's bill and get that money to the states, because that is the money that'll cover exactly what you're talking about. So I've been assured that'll be happening any day now. I'm also calling on the President and the Congress to pass a substantial stimulus bill as soon as they can. This is going to wreak havoc with our economy. You're seeing it here in our state, so they need to they're essential personnel that needs to stay at work and get back to work, stay at work. They are working, and again, our delegation's fantastic. We need a stimulus bill because they need to use, and I'm not just talking about tax breaks. I'm talking about stimulus to be put into the pockets of Americans and small businesses so that we aren't brought to our knees with the economic fallout, the third order effects that we will see. And so for the people of Rhode Island who are struggling right now financially, I hear you, and we're fighting like crazy to make sure that we can get the President and Congress to pass a stimulus.
So Mayor Bill de Blasio has talked about...
There's a woman back there. We have hundreds.
Yeah, we have 200 in reserve.
Why don't you step up?
Hi, I'm Dr. McDonald. So we do follow hospital capacity very closely. We follow that every day. We do know the hospitals have enough ventilators right now. We have 200 in reserve. We've deployed some of those already, not because they're needed, but just so the hospitals can become familiar with operating them. And so I think we're okay in that regard right now.
Doctor, a question we've been getting a lot from social media from our viewers is potentially using Memorial Hospital as a facility in case hospitals are overwhelmed. Is that something that you're considering at all?
So the state's looking at all options right now. That's complicated, though, and right now we have capacity. We're doing okay right now.
Yeah. Let me address that, and then I think we'll be done for today. One of the pieces of work that we're doing, which General Callahan and his team is leading, is doing a surge capacity plan for the whole state. So again, I want to reassure Rhode Islanders, this isn't a surprise. We've been working on it for weeks. That's why I've activated the EOC. That's why we have a 24/7 operation. We are going through the painstaking process of detailing every resource we have and then scenario planning. If the surge looks like this, where do we get additional person power and masks and gloves and ventilators, hospital beds, ICU beds. So we are going through that right now to make sure that we are as prepared as we can be, depending on the different scenarios. Okay. Thank you. We'll be making more announcements tomorrow about that.
Thank you, Governor.
Bye, guys. Stay further away from each other.
You've been watching the governor's daily briefing, updating us on the coronavirus crisis here in Rhode Island. And just to recap what she said, they've activated the Emergency Operations Center at 9 o'clock last night. The next 2 weeks are critical in combating and containing coronavirus. A big one today, the governor is closing all child care centers in Rhode Island for the next week. No new cases of positive coronavirus tests overnight, leaving the number still at 20 of those tested here in Rhode Island. They've been testing over 100 people a day. 2,300 people are self-quarantining right now. You're asked to check in with those over 60 years old and who may have compromised immune systems. And cities and towns will all be providing some way of food food meal delivery or pickup services for those who are otherwise not able to get food. So stay with Eyewitness News as we continue to get updates from the government about the coronavirus concerns here in Rhode Island. You can get those always on our website at WPRI.com and the WPRI News app.
Stay with Eyewitness News for the latest on this breaking story.